You ever stop and think about what Valentine's Day is really all about? I mean, is it this genuine celebration of love we all think it is? Or has it turned into something else? Something that feels less like a heartfelt moment and more like, I don't know, a final exam for your relationship? Okay, let's get into it and figure out exactly how romance got so expensive.
This quote, wow, it just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? The whole idea here is that the holiday has stopped being a celebration and has become this public performance. It's a day where your affection and, let's be honest, your bank account are put on display for the whole world to audit.
And the scale of this audit? It is absolutely mind-blowing. In 2024 alone, Americans dropped a collective $25.8 billion on Valentine's Day. That's billion with a B. To put that into perspective, that's an entire economy, bigger than the GDP of some countries, all spent on cards, flowers, and chocolate for just one day. Now, here's where it gets really wild. If you break that number down, the average person celebrating spent about $185. Just think about that for a second. If you're in a couple, you're looking at almost 400 bucks. For a lot of families, that's more than a week's worth of groceries. So you have to ask, how on earth did we get here? How did a simple gesture get so incredibly out of hand?
All right, let's jump into our first section here. We're going to look at how this holiday made the leap from being this sweet, totally optional thing to what now feels like a mandatory financial output. And, this isn't just a hunch. The numbers are pretty stark. A huge majority, we're talking 72% of Americans, say they feel pressured to celebrate. So this isn't about people wanting to take part. For most, it's about feeling like they have to. It's become this cultural obligation that comes with a very clear price tag.
So, how did this all happen? Well, the pressure we all feel today didn't just appear out of nowhere, it was engineered. We're going to dive into the commercial forces that deliberately took a pretty minor holiday and inflated it into a massive, multi-billion-dollar industry. And this timeline just shows the explosion perfectly. Back in 1985, spending was sitting around $7 billion in today's money. Fast forward to 2024, and it's more than tripled. And get this, that growth didn't just beat inflation, it completely left wage growth in the dust. The holiday didn't get any more romantic, it just got way, way more expensive. So, what was their secret? It was a marketing message that was as simple as it was, frankly, ruthless. Love is a transaction. You have to prove your affection with a purchase. It's this powerful little formula that completely bypasses our rational brain and goes straight for our deepest insecurities about whether or not we're doing enough for our partners. And all of this created what some people call the Valentine's industrial complex. It's this whole machine, right? You've got restaurants that jack up their prices with these special menus. You've got florists who can suddenly charge 3 times as much for roses. Jewelers are literally selling you commitment in the form of a diamond. And of course, the greeting card companies who basically write the script for how we're all supposed to feel and what we're supposed to buy. Okay, so if corporate marketing built the machine, social media came along and just poured gasoline all over the fire. This is where we get to the modern era, where the public stage of the internet turns what should be a private moment of romance into a full-blown public competition. I mean, think about it. Before Instagram, your Valentine's celebration was mostly private, right? It was about you and your partner. But now, it's a public performance for an audience of hundreds, maybe thousands of people. Every gift, every dinner reservation, every bouquet of roses is just content waiting to be posted, judged, and compared. It's not personal anymore, it's competitive. And again, the data on this is just undeniable. Heavy social media users spend a full 35% more on Valentine's Day than people who use it lightly or not at all. They aren't just spending for their partner anymore, they're spending for their followers. They're spending for the likes, the comments, the validation. What this creates is a kind of digital arms race. You scroll through your feed, you see what everyone else is getting, and suddenly your own plans feel kind of lame. The bar is just constantly being raised. And in this new world, you can't really just opt out. Not posting anything on February 14th feels like you're putting up a sign that says, "My relationship failed the test this year." So let's talk about the real cost of all this. I'm not just talking about money. What's the human toll of this intimacy economy? What does it actually do to us, psychologically and emotionally? And here's the truly sad irony in all of this. The gestures that require the most personal effort, like a home-cooked meal, a handwritten letter, something from the heart, are now often seen as cheap. Why? Because they don't have a big, shiny price tag you can brag about. We've been trained to think that cost equals care, that a store-bought gift is automatically more valuable just because it was more expensive.
And the mental health bill for this holiday is just staggering. For single people, it's a day that screams, you're excluded. For people in couples, it's a huge source of financial stress and performance anxiety. For anyone who just can't afford to play the game, it brings on shame and this feeling of failure. It's a day that, for almost everyone, risks creating resentment instead of romance.
This all leads to something fascinating called the couple's dilemma. It's basically a trap where both people in a relationship might secretly hate the pressure, hate the expense, but neither one dares to admit it out loud. So they both end up acting against their own best interests, just going through the motions because they're terrified of disappointing the other person by breaking this unspoken social rule. So what's the bottom line here? It's this. Valentine's Day doesn't just signal affection anymore. It signals your economic status. Your celebration has become a public display of how much you can afford. It draws this really clear line in the sand between those who can afford the grand Instagrammable gestures and those who can't, turning a day that's supposed to be about love into a showcase of social class. So look, we all know it's a financial stress test. We feel it every single February. That's not the real question. The real question is, why do we all keep lining up to take it? Year after year, we choose to participate in a system we know causes anxiety, debt, and resentment, all supposedly in the name of love. That's the real mystery we should all be thinking about.